Hello students, in this video we'll be covering only Sri Lanka as a South Asian nation and the problems it had to undergo after it gained its independence. Now Sri Lanka became independent in 1948, okay, and like India it has also been very successful in retaining democracy throughout. Now unlike the problems that the Pakistan, Bangladesh or the Nepalese government faced from military or the monarchy rule, which we studied earlier, the problem in Sri Lanka was completely different. Now, they faced serious ethnic conflict. So, their problem was ethnic problem. Okay. Now, if you look over here, this is Sri Lanka population census of 1953, and we can see that there are 6 different ethnic groups. Now, we will focus only on 2 of them. Now, the Sinhalas were the majority, and from the minority, the Tamils, they had the largest number of people. And the Tamils were further divided into 2 different groups, that is Sri Lankan Tamils and the Indian Tamils. Now, Sinhala composed of almost 70% of the population and Tamils 23%, okay, almost 23%. So the problem in Sri Lanka was because of the differences between these 2 ethnic groups. All right. So here is a map of Sri Lanka, and these are the areas which were dominated by the Tamils, the north and the east. Okay. And as you can see, the purple color is the area dominated by the Sinhalas or the Sinhalese people. All right. Now the Tamils are those people who migrated from India to Sri Lanka during the British rule. Now, after Sri Lanka became independent in 1948, it adopted parliamentary democracy, which means the leaders will be elected. You know that, right? And since the Sinhalese people were in majority, obviously the Sinhalese people dominated the politics. And that's when the problem started. So first we have the Sinhalese domination after independence, which led to the discrimination of Tamil Sri Lankans. Now, Sinhalese people, they didn't consider the Tamils as Sri Lankans, and therefore they believe that they should not be given concessions since they are not citizens of Sri Lanka and they do not belong to Sri Lanka. Okay, and therefore they made certain changes in the law. For example, in 1956, Sinhala was made the official language. Now, before, English was the official language, and because of the conversion of English to Sinhala as the official language, many Tamil people, they had to resign from the government jobs because they do not know Sinhala language. All right. And then in 1970s, they again introduced another law, which was the policy of standardization. Now, because of this policy of standardization, it resulted in a huge reduction in the college-going students of the Tamils, okay? And then they also put a ban on the Tamil media and literature. So, of course, the Tamil people started confronting or they started challenging the government. So, in the beginning, they were peaceful riots, but later, armed groups started to form. So the LTTE, or the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam, it was just one of those armed groups, all right? And this LTTE was formed in 1972 by Villupillai Prabhakaran. So it was formed in 1972, and this LTTE, they believed in secession, okay, which means they want to be separated from Sri Lanka. Now the meaning of Eelam in Tamil is homeland. So as the word suggests, their demand is for a Tamil Eelam or for a homeland for the Tamil Sri Lankans. Okay, so they were supported by the Tamil diaspora or the Tamils living in different parts of the world. Here, this is the Tamil Eelam. Let's have a look at another picture. The whole green area is the area that the LTTE demanded for the Tamils. Eelam, a separate nation for the Tamils, okay? So they started this armed struggle from 1983. Now, in order to get their rights, the Indian government also supported them from 1983 till 1987. Now, the Indian government supported them to the extent that not only were they provided financial aid, but they've also provided military training in India. Now, why the Indian government support? Well, since the Tamils' origin is from India, Indian government felt that it is their duty to help what the Tamils rightfully deserve. All right. So the Indian government had also many times tried to bring negotiation between the LTTE and the Sri Lankan government. So in 1987, India signed a peace accord with Sri Lanka. At that time, the Prime Minister of India was Mr. Rajiv Gandhi, and the President of Sri Lanka was Mr. Jayawardene. Okay, you can see the pictures of these two people over here. Now, out of the few agreements of the India's peace accord with the Sri Lankan government, which involved recognition of Tamil language, one was to send Indian peacekeeping force to Sri Lanka. All right, and the main job of the IPKF was to stabilize the situation in Sri Lanka. You can see the picture down there, the IPKF force. Now, the most armed forces accepted this peace deal and they withdrew their forces, with exception to LTTE. The LTTE, they didn't like the fact that Indian government has shook hands with the Sri Lankan government, and so the IPKF and the LTTE, they ended up fighting. Now, the Sri Lankan people also didn't like the presence of IPKF in their land, as they felt that it was an interference of the Indian government in their soil. So IPKF, they didn't get the support from both the sides, and finally they had to withdraw back in 1989. Now in 1991, the LTTE, they assassinated Rajiv Gandhi when he was on an election campaign. Okay. Now from 1990s, LTTE, they ran the Tamil Ilam area as a shadow government. Now what's a shadow government? Shadow government means, although officially the Tamil Ilam area was under Sri Lanka, however, the LTTE, they ran their own government there. The LTTE, they had their own police and etc. So with the failure of the India-Sri Lanka peace accord, the Sri Lankan crisis still continued to be violent. So considering the importance of the stability between the LTTE group and the Sri Lankan government, the Scandinavian nations such as Norway and Iceland, they tried to bring these two back into negotiations. All right. However, finally in 2009, LTTE was defeated. Okay, you can see over here, and Prabhakaran was killed. Now with the defeat of LTTE, there was peace in Sri Lanka. All right, and the current president of Sri Lanka is Gotabaya Rajapaksa. You can see the picture over here. All right. Now, the most interesting and the surprising part of Sri Lanka is that despite such a prolonged civil war, that is from 1983 to 2009, Sri Lanka has been successful in managing the growth rate of its population. Okay, it was also the first country to liberalize its economy. And despite being in civil war for such a long time, that is from 1983 to 2009, it has managed to have the highest GDP for many years, right through the civil wars. Okay, and the best of all, it has been able to maintain its democracy throughout those troubled years. All right, so this is all about Sri Lanka. It's interesting, short, and an easy one. Now we're just left with two more topics, that is Maldives and Bhutan. All right, while we do these chapters, don't forget your practical works. Remember that the last date for the submission, for the online submission of your practical work is on 30th of June. All right, I'm sure you must be doing your practicals. So make sure you finish your work on time. Stay safe and I'll see you soon. Okay, bye-bye.